full field house, filled to capacity. In fact, the scalpers are getting $1,200 a ticket to see this one. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin, and welcome to College Park, Maryland. You know, tomorrow night they will crown the national champion of college football in Tempe, Arizona. Don't be surprised if both of these two teams, Maryland and Duke, are in the Final Four in St. Petersburg, Florida, late in March. The Duke Blue Devils, synonymous with winning in the 90s. 5 ACC titles, 4 Final Fours, 2 national championships. Duke has accomplished in 9 years what most programs can only dream of achieving in a lifetime. The Maryland Terrapins, years of frustration and disappointment have left them without a trip to the Final Four. However, 1999 has brought on sky-high expectations with the emergence of Steve Francis, college basketball's most exciting player. He has electrified the Terps and has brought on promise of erasing past failures. Today, 2 programs from distinctly different paths begin a season-long battle for supremacy to send a message as to whom will be the ACC king, to prove that they belong among America's best, and most importantly, to show that they will be the ones standing come March. Duke and Maryland, the New Year's first epic battle, is next. Well, I can't begin to tell you about the noise inside this building. Colt Fieldhouse has seen some great, spectacular games over the decades, but this one this afternoon, number 4 against number 2. And Dick Vitale, this one they are putting at the very top of the ledger. This would be an asterisk, a big spot in Maryland sports history. Let's talk about what happened last year. Duke came in here, they whipped them by 32 points. You had to say there's a key for Mike Krzyzewski's team today, though. What would it be?
Well, I think number 1, there's no doubt about it. In that first matchup, they did a great job knocking down threes last year. The bottom line is Langdon will become effective from the three-point line if Elton Brand establishes post position inside. If he can get off like he did against Kentucky early in the game, it stretches the defense. A second factor for Duke, they must make the game a 5-on-5 game. Run when the opportunity is there, but force Maryland to play in a half-court game. Tempo, tempo, tempo is very important.
I came over this morning to the early morning shoot-around from Maryland. Gary Williams said that last year Langdon shot one from about 24 and hit nothing but net. He said, I knew we were in for a long afternoon. What are the keys for his Terrapins today?
Well, Ron, when you take a look right now at Maryland, they have to be concerned with the open 3. They must control Avery and Langdon, who have 74 trifectas between them. So containing the perimeter game. I think we'll see Maryland play more man-to-man than trapping defensively and playing a trap which leaves open people. A second factor, they must keep Duke off the free throw line. Duke is dynamite on that free throw line. And number 3, LaRon Profit must get involved. He was 0 for 7 last year against Duke in a matchup here. He was a non-show against Stanford, had 1 basket, and did not play well, had only 8 points in their loss to Kentucky. The real LaRon Profit must surface today for them to have a chance to win.
Well, the house is rocking. We're going to take a break, and when we return, former All-American Lynn Elmore is with us, and he has an interesting story about a young man by the name of Steve Francis. Right back after this. Hottest ticket that College Park, Maryland has seen in a very long time. Third member of our telecast team today has seen some very hot times in this building before. Lynn Elmore is standing by, and he's going to take us on a visit with a young man that has made quite a splash on this campus. Lynn?
Thanks, Ron. You know, a lot of people think that the road to college basketball stardom is paved with gold. But Steve Francis is not your average local boy makes good story. As we found out yesterday when he went back to the old neighborhood to shoot a few baskets, he toiled in his own field of basketball dreams.
I mean, when I used to play, I always, thought about, where it would lead to, will I ever, get a chance to play Division I basketball, will I ever get a chance to fulfill my dream, of playing professional basketball. And this is one of the places I think, that really, helped me keep my dreams and hopes alive. So I used to come in here all the time, used to work out, run up and down the steps, shoot, talk on the phone, play pool, play video games, somewhere just to hang out. And I think it made me tough for me to be able to play and in this type of environment. You see this environment right here, and you just think that how could somebody, think they can do something in a gym like this with the walls right there? You barely have any place to run. So, I mean, for me to come through something like this, when I get out like a cold fit house or something, that's like paradise to me. So I just feel that, I can do anything when I'm out there.
It's good to see a young man who understands from where he's come, because he's going to appreciate where he's going that much more. Ron?
Okay, Lynn, nice feature. We're going to take a break. As you can see, they are ready for this one. Home Fieldhouse will be right back. Starting lineups and the opening tip after this. That these students have been standing outside in the last 48 hours making sure that they get into this ball game, and we'll talk more about that as you look at the starters for Duke. Avery, Langdon, Carrawell, Battier, and Elton Brand. It is imperative for Brand to continue his physical presence inside and help them out on the backboard. Now, as far as Maryland is concerned, Stokes, Steve Francis, Morris, Profit, and Akese. And Dick, one of the things that they are concerned about, Akese has not fouled out of a game this year, but they worry about a physical player like Brand could get him in difficulty.
Well, Gary Williams right now is really concerned about that factor, because when you look at Akese early in his career, he's been in foul trouble. However, this year, he's only averaging 2.4 fouls per game. In fact, Maryland, when you look at Maryland's situation is they're only committing 17 fouls per game. Mike Krzyzewski, as you look at Mike now, entering his 19th season at Duke, they really rely on getting to the free throw line. And they are one of the best run in America, shooting better than 75% on the line.
Dick, what about the pace of this ball game? Maryland wants it to be very quick. What about Duke?
Maryland certainly wants to play at an up tempo, but so does Duke. But Duke's a little bit more selective. I think Duke would like and welcome the traps because it leaves people open for the three. I think you're going to see Gary Williams play more head-to-head, man-to-man, and take away the open threes.
The biggest concern, and Steve Francis said it best yesterday, is that, you can't just say it's another game, because it's not. But he doesn't want he and his teammates to be too high and do things foolishly for the first 5 minutes. Because Gary told me this morning that the shoot-around, first 5 minutes of this game is extremely important.
Well, last year in the first matchup here when Duke won by 32, as you said earlier, they hit their first 4 threes, and they were 11 for 17 in the first half and blew that game away where they were plus 20 at halftime.
Kind of feel like you're at ringside of a heavyweight fight, don't you?
Oh, the electricity is amazing. All I know, Ron, I traveled my heart out to get here for this game.
Yes, you did. So Maryland will see them on offense first.
Man-to-man defense by Duke right out of the gate. Head-to-head pressure on the ball.
Morris. The putback and the block by Brand, and here comes Duke. Battier at the other end, and he'll score the 2 on the breakaway.
Shane Battier starting time. Look at the steal by Battier. Oh, he had a deflection. Defensive balance so important in that sequence. Maryland did not get back defensively.
Avery working against Stokes.
Battier started because of his defensive presence. He's the most versatile defender Duke has had in the era of Mike Krzyzewski.
Stokes picked up the dribble, shoots it off the glass, won't go.
Not an offensive firepower, but a guy that plays on the defensive end and usually controls tempo of game. Terrell Stokes.
Carrawell dishes it off, and Brand will score.
That's where Brand is so effective, Ron. He's got the big wide body. He really's got great hands. His hands are unbelievable. He really has a soft feel for the basketball.
Profit dishes inside. Francis had it knocked away. Boy, he and Langdon are really banging bodies inside. Morris misses the jam.
Not the kind of start Maryland wanted.
0 for 4. You're right. This is just what Gary Williams talked about.
Well, because he wants to get the crowd in the game as well, get their energy and feed off that energy. Tough to get excited when you're getting blanked early.
Battier misses the 3.
Not a good long-range shooter, Shane Battier.
Profit at the other end.
That's a bad sign right there. A little air ball by Laurent Profit. They need a big performance out of Profit. They're going inside to Brand right against Akese early.
Well, they are banging, and he switches it. 6-0, just like that, and Gary Williams is up, and he's got to be a little concerned.
Well, the one thing is they've negated the perimeter, taken away the three-point shot, but it's allowed them to get the ball to the interior, 1-on-1 for Brand.
Easy counted.
Has really improved in the post. Got to give a lot of credit to the big redhead, Bill Walton, the Hall of Famer. Worked with Mr. Akizi on 2 days and really worked with him as you look at the field goal percentage on his footwork.
Langdon
Can flat out shoot the trifecta. That is his 49th of the year.
7-point Duke margin, and we have not played 3 minutes of this first half as yet.
I think he's the best long-range shooter in college basketball. Pat Bradley's also great down at. Look at a tip right by Profit down at Arkansas.
That gets the crowd back up, 9-4.
Francis with a good look.
Avery, heavy traffic. Brand battles for it. Carroll swishes it.
Carroll's one of those unsung heroes you have to have. One of those real intangible men. Similar to what Carolina had last year with Okalaja, who's now stepped up to become a #1 option down at Carolina.
Jump hook won't go. Akizi tries for the rebound, knocked out of bounds by Duke.
Maryland right now trying to show passing ability with a little back screen for Profit. There's the good lob by Steve Francis. Explosive. Langdon really playing Francis tough, not letting him get his hands on a basketball.
Chris Burgess checks into the lineup, number 34, the 6'10 sophomore.
Gives him size inside, good rebounder. Profit's looking at the officials. He's trying to be a politician. He said, they're holding my shirt. They're holding my shirt. Petty Valentine on the game with Larry Rose and also Mr.
Carl Hess.
Carl Hess is on the game as well. Hey, we had to help to get Larry Rose in the game here today.
We did.
Had to help him at the game.
You had to tell him who he was.
They didn't know who he was.
Trajan Langdon, by the way, with the foul at the other end. Shot missed by McGetty.
You're going to love McGetty, Ron. He's one of those kids with tremendous speed and quickness.
Akizi goes to work on Burgess. It's blocked by Burgess, and he comes away with it.
He's got that great size inside. Burgess, Pattier, and Brand give him 3 players. They can rotate 4 and 5 slots.
That's going to be a travel against McGetty. Now, here's my point. I think McGetty is a kid who really is worth watching early because he hasn't played in this kind of hostile environment. Timeout on the floor. 11-4. Duke on top. We'll be right back.
We're going to take a look right here why Duke is so effective offensively. They can hurt you on both parts of the floor. Down in the low blocks inside with Elton Brand, an All-American. We watch him establish great post position inside. And then he knows how to finish. He knows how to finalize. A little head fake, soft hands, good touch, nothing but nylon. Now they're going to reverse the basketball and swing it to the open shooter with a nice screen by Brand. And yes, sweet as velvet. NBN, nothing but nylon. Trajan Langdon. Langdon and Brand, one of the great inside-outside combinations in college basketball.
You look at the numbers on Brand, 17 points a game, 62%, almost 9 rebounds. And for Langdon, he's only taken 1 shot. He hit it. He's got 3 rebounds as well.
Well, early in the game right now, Langdon's done a really effective defensive job on Francis, keeping the ball away from him. You made a great point about Corey McGetty. This is a whole different setting for a young player to get really acclimated to this kind of environment, but I think he can handle it.
3 on the way, and it's there for Francis. Now, this is the guy I think Krzyzewski worries most about as far as igniting this crowd, don't you?
He's the best talent in America. He may not be the best player in America, the best talent.
Battier picks up a foul away from the ball.
And there's a difference there, Ron, being a great talent and being a super player. I think eventually when he gets more game experience, people have to understand this is probably his 3rd big marquee game with the Kentucky game, the Stanford game, and this game where kids like Langdon and them have played in so many big games.
The other thing that Francis talked about is the level of competition as he drives the middle too hard off the glass, and a follow Morris
has really improved. Terrence Morris inside. TM's a high riser. Explosive around the goal. Matchup right now, McGetty and Profit. Experience against the Diaper Dandy.
2-point ball game.
Illegal screen called against Duke. Terrence Morris comes up with the loose ball, knows how to complete the plays, got that good elevation.
Burgess with the foul. That's the third team foul. Now Mike Krzyzewski is up and is staring at Larry Rose about that call.
Very difficult to handle Francis one-on-one. Everyone else becomes a Kodak man. They want to snap and take pictures and watch him do his thing when he goes over to the point and Stokes goes to the sideline. See right here, one-on-one. He's unstoppable in a one-on-one situation. Has the great crossover, explosive. Larry Brown told me, the coach of the 76ers, he's the best talent he likes out in college basketball.
Burgess with the foul. Avery, I beg your pardon. His first and the team's fourth as Francis knocks down the free throw. He is a 77% free throw shooter.
Amazing story, and Lenny Elmore did a real solid job in the opening in terms of a story on Francis. But what a story. Played at 2 junior colleges, both went undefeated while he was there as a point guard. Allegheny and San Jacinto. Didn't really play high school basketball. Mom passed away his senior year. He wears a tattoo in memory of his mom, touches his shoulder every time he shoots a free throw. And he had academic problems early in his high school career, so not really an experienced basketball player.
7-0 Maryland run since the timeout.
Francis and Langdon really hook it up on the outside.
Avery. Brand goes down, and Akese comes away with the rebound for Maryland.
Nice look.
Morris.
Avery's been such a key catalyst for this basketball team, taking over the point guard slot. Graduated Wojciechowski. Wojo now a radio man with Bob Harris. Gary Williams explosive on that sideline. Has such a passion and love for coaching his Terps where he played here.
Francis with the foul. It's his first. He wanted to travel just a moment ago when Elton Brand dribbled across midcourt. He said he carried the ball.
Look at Gary, so calm. He's so calm. Coaching basketball is a wacky, wacky way to earn a living, Mr. Franklin.
Chris Harrell, shooting 2.
Hey, congratulations, Hall of Fame at the University of Mississippi as he misses the free throw. Got to congratulate my partner here. That's a great, great honor.
Thank you. You're kind to say so, sir. Those people were kind to offer that. Still tied at 11, just under 15 minutes to play in this first half. Akese goes to the bench. He'll get a breather. Danny Miller checks in.
He can shoot the ball, Danny Miller. Made some big threes against Stanford when he beat Stanford by a deuce. Beat him in a half-court game. That's what impressed me about Maryland in that situation. Stanford and Mike Montgomery made it a half-court game, and yet they were able to prevail, and Francis had 22 points in that game.
Mike Martisic into the lineup as well. He gets the pass and a block and steal by Brand.
Adjustment by Brand.
Langdon way downtown. That was touched last by Burgess.
Shot that from his hometown of Anchorage, Alaska. Now watch his defensive play. We're going to watch the rotation. There's the good look, good vision by Francis. Now look at this. Oh, he says, hey, Mr. Martisic, give me the basketball. Look at those hands on Mr. Brand. I think he could be some kind of tight end.
Puts it on the floor. Going to take Martisic inside. Lost it. Hit underneath the standard, and it's turnover against Duke.
The one thing I think Gary Williams has to be happy with is the fact that his club has come back with their defensive effort to narrow the gap to 1 here early in this game. 4 turnovers for Duke early in the game.
2 against Maryland. Francis with the crossover working against Trajan Langdon, and he lost it out of bounds for the touch. Langdon lags.
See, what they're going to have to learn how to do is play when Mr. Francis has the ball in his hands. They have a tendency, the other Maryland players, to become stationary and watch and observe because he likes to really put the ball to the net.
Terrell Stokes to pull the trigger for Maryland. Nick, you know what's interesting in looking at the number? Stokes does not, he hasn't gone to the free throw line this year.
That's
in
amazing.
14 games it is.
That's an amazing stat for a point guard. Trying to isolate Morris with his quickness, 101. There it is.
And he got around Battier and then missed the finger roll.
He was the isolation man being played against Shane Battier, premier defender in the ACC.
Carrawell working against Miller. Nice look and the block and also the foul.
The one good thing about quality teams, Ron, is they always make the extra pass. They play in such an unselfish fashion. That's the part that impresses me over the years, watching the talent that Mike Krzyzewski has put together and watching them play within the team concept, playing as a team. Look at Mike really sitting there very calm, relaxed, stomach churning, mailbox inside.
He went to the shoot-around yesterday, and he just smiled and said, I think this is going to be a good one.
I'm glad you covered it. I wanted to get to the shoot-around. I could.
You were circling.
Oh, I was circling for an hour up in Atlanta, holding patterns. Then we landed in Macon, Georgia. And I got to thank the Powell family for getting a car from Arkansas, driving me to Atlanta, finally getting on a flight at 9:40 that leaves about 12 midnight and arriving here 2:30. But you know what? I was ready to hitchhike to get here for this game if they didn't have any transportation.
Nate James, 79% free throw shooter.
He's a young man Maryland wanted badly from out of here in Maryland. Mr. Basketball said no to the Terps and went out to Duke, where he hasn't had a whole lot of playing time. He's had a lot of injuries.
Stokes drives, dishes it back, and off the glass. Martisic.
They waited to go
call an offensive foul.
Offensive foul on Martisic. Good look by Stokes. There's the vision. Prototype point guard, always looking to make the pass. Duke rotates over defensively, steps in and takes the charge. They chart that. They keep that on their records, how many charges they take.
Profit with the foul.
Yeah, trying to
be the fourth team foul all of a sudden on Maryland.
Profit tries to reach from the back. Something they do within their pressure. They try to sneak from behind with deflections.
The foul is on number 3, LaRon Profit, his first, fourth on the team.
Both teams with 4 team fouls. Avery, nice job as Akizi came over to help. Avery pops it and knocks it down.
He has the scorer's mentality. He gives you a bonus at that point guard slot. Passing ability as well as scoring. Trying to give some help, doubling up on Akizi inside.
Stokes drives, had the ball tipped, wanted Martisic, and now the easy hoop at the other end by James.
He's got to feel good getting that PT playing time right in his home state. Nate James was a former McDonald's All-American.
22nd timeout called by Maryland. Gary Williams wants to talk it over because of a 7-0 run by Duke.
Avery right now spinning, going one-on-one, whirling inside, hanging. Excellent agility to be able to hang and slide and glide. There's the kick out. No defensive balance by Maryland. Gary Williams got to be frustrated about that. It's the second time that's happened where they've unmolested layups in transition.
Well, I'm listening to a conversation right here, Ted Valentine. There is a fan down here that is sitting right on the floor. We're not going to identify him. That's not our job. But he got up and walked on the floor, and Ted Valentine just told the usher
the next time he's out of here.
Next time he gets up, that he's out of here.
Well, the burden's on the home team to make sure they protect the players, the referees, and keep that court belonging to them. As Gary now getting a point. Teddy Valentine listening.
Tied at 11 just a moment ago, and then a 7-0 run by Duke.
Both these clubs are excellent spurt teams. Well, they'll go in spurts, 7-zip, 8-zip.
Avery got back quickly. Akizi with the turnaround. Too hard off the back iron.
Tough shot right there. Fade away jump shot. They'll give him that opportunity all game.
Carrawell, he got banged after the shot, put up an air ball. And it's going to stay with Duke.
You're right about that, Ron. No question. He got banged on that arm. He can't believe there was no foul. Because what is this, the NFL?
He got banged in the mouth as well. Watch it. So there's a timeout. 11:55. Left until halftime. Duke by 7. 9-point Duke lead. Boomer Esiason, he's not watching football today. He's here watching his alma mater. Now, I know a game he is going to be watching. Tomorrow at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. ABC Sports presents the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl from Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. The college football national championship game. #1 Tennessee against #2 Florida State. Don't miss it when T. Martin leads the undefeated Volunteers as they battle for that stifling Seminole defense. Tomorrow, ABC Sports and ESPN.com bring you the first ever enhanced TV during the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Don't miss it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson with my partner, Bob Greasy. We certainly wish nothing but the best to Keith Jackson. We should have an award named after him, the Keith Jackson Football Award for academics and character to some football player every year.
I agree with you. Avery got the sweet roll there off the front of the iron, and it's a 9-point. Since Francis won out, it was a 6-0 run by Duke to show you his importance in this contest.
He draws so much attention that he makes everyone else better by his presence on the floor. They get good looks at the basket.
In fact, Maryland is scoreless the last 3 minutes and 28 seconds.
When you think about great backcourts in college basketball, I look at that Duke backcourt and it really, really impresses me. Avery has developed to be such a solid point guard, and Langdon is just so steady.
Avery goes up against Akese and he blocks it. Brand has it taken away, and the baseline, Battier picks up the loose ball and scores.
Shane Battier, Mr. Intangible Man, working on the glass, comes up with the second loose ball. Harrowell now rotating on Francis. They keep rotating different bodies, trying to get a fresh body to check him.
Akese had the big block underneath. Big guy playing tough at both ends of the floor.
See, I think the decision here is to let him shoot the long-range jumper. That's not a good decision.
No, it's a mistake.
Well, you got a choice. You have up on him and he'll go by you, or let him try to shoot the 3.
Well, he's got 8 points.
Because he can be streaky from out on the perimeter shooting the trifecta, but he's so explosive to the goal.
22-14.
5-second count. Superb defense by Francis on Avery. Forces the 5-second count.
For the Terrapins, 44, Terrence Morris for Mike Martin.
Francis playing on a defensive end. Head on the ball. Look at the emotion.
Look at the reaction, yeah.
He's very proud of his defensive effort.
Francis very high. Akese tries to come away with the rebound and tipped over by Brand. Knocked out of bounds by Maryland. Morris back in the lineup as Martisic goes back to the bench.
When you look at the ACC this year, I really believe that Maryland and Duke stand head and shoulders above everyone else in the conference. And then there's that other section battling for that 3rd slot. Carolina had a nice win yesterday over Clemson when they beat them 45 consecutive times at North Carolina.
Is that amazing? Brand, Akese banging on him, and he can't get the shot to go. Now they're letting the 2 big guys go inside. Tipped by Brand, and it causes a turnover.
Very little rhythm right now offensively in a half-court game. Very sloppy on that side of the floor.
Battier just inside the 3-point line and knocks it down.
A kid like Battier is going to get some open looks because so much attention is directed to Brand and to Langdon. Moffitt again's got to step up. He was 0 for 7 last year in this matchup in the first game. Had only 8 points against Kentucky.
The look inside, kisses it off the glass. Nice job. Juan Dixon.
Juan Dixon gives him instant offense off the bench. He's a long-range trifecta man as well. Here come the traps.
Francis is called for the foul.
Lon, I think the philosophy of going to traps could really come to hurt Maryland. I don't believe you can trap this Duke basketball team for several reasons. They got outstanding shooters, and they really also understand where to be on the floor against traps, and they make open shots. A very difficult team to trap.
Steve Francis just picked up his 2nd foul. It's gotten warm in this building because of the capacity, but you can Gary Williams' whole face is just soaking wet. He is so into this basketball game.
He's like that every game. He treats every game like it's the NCAA championship.
Getty way short.
McGetty had a super game his last game out. 22 points, 10 rebounds. North Carolina, Greensboro. This is not the same caliber of competition, though.
Baxter with the follow.
The big fella, the wide body, Baxter, physical presence. He went 10 for 10 in a game against North Texas to break Gary Williams' record where he had 8 for 8. He said, I should have fired my assistant when he got the 7 for 7. I should have taken him out.
Morris with the turnaround. And now here comes Maryland back from a 10 to a 4-point game.
There's that spurt again we talked about, Ron. Spurt City here in College Park, the place to be. Even Boomer Esiason says forget football this afternoon. I'm going to see the Terps and the Devils.
Well, the great thing that happened is the weather has just been horrible, and then it got warm. And everybody can come out and see this one.
Baxter with that strong body. They feel he's going to get a chance to play a lot more minutes as the season progresses. See, right to the top of the circle, nobody blocks him out. The left hand, excellent timing, and the jam. Oh, is there enthusiasm in his house today here at Cole Fieldhouse?
Number 4 against number 2.
It's hard to believe that Maryland has never gotten to the Final Four with all that great teams. Our partner here, Lenny Elmore, played on 2 super clubs that went to the Final 8. One year losing to Ernie DiGregorio and that gang, Marvin Bad News Barnes in 73. And then in 75, they went to the Final 8 as well. That was Lucas' combination with Shepard.
Maryland just got 6 points in 49 seconds.
Lenny, the greatest rebounder ever to play here. See, here comes the traps. Wide open people.
James. That's short. He felt as though he got bumped. The lob, and that's a great job by the freshman McGetty to get back and save it, and on the inline. It's going to be Duke basketball.
McGetty in defensive transition. Worked so hard to get back, to step in the passing lane and take away the look to Laron Profit. Stokes trying to set up his buddy with the lob, but look at McGetty's athletic ability. Well, what about a little bump there, knocking him out of bounds?
Langdon had to do a little acrobatics there, and nice job by Baxter anticipating the pass.
Langdon telegraphed that pass, a Marconi special.
7 turnovers against the Dukies. Morris back to Stokes for 3.
Gets the wide open look. They don't have a great deal of respect for his ability to shoot the 3, but he makes them pay.
37% three-point shooter, and he knocked that one down.
Here goes the trap. Scramble defensively, spacing so important against the trap.
McGetty, too hard. Brand with the follow.
McGetty is rushing everything. He's not playing under control.
Just what we were talking about, though. The first time to come into this kind of environment, you have to learn how you pace yourself and how intensely you can play. Francis.
I would take my chances with him and let him shoot the 3. I would not allow him to beat me to the goal because you're not going to stop him one-on-one. You got to hope and pray that he's missing the long-range jump shot.
Timeout, 6:58 left in this first half. It is Duke 26 and Maryland 23.
It's by 3 here in the first half, and with me is one of Maryland's greatest players, Joe Smith. And Joe, you've been in these type of intense ball games before. What are your feelings right now?
They'll be all right. It's a good game. Once they settle down, I think on the offensive end, I think they're playing pretty good defense. But once they settle down on the offensive end and start executing their offense, they'll be all right.
Are you surprised by Steve Francis' play throughout this year thus far?
When I first heard of him, I really didn't know who he was. But now that I've started watching him and see how good of a player he is, I'm very surprised.
Well, sounds like a guy that we knew by the name of Joe Smith. Ron, back to you.
Okay, thanks very much. Lonnie Baxter with another block. Morris misses his shot, and look at Juan Dixon's guy, but he had it taken away by Carrawell.
So far, Maryland's done a phenomenal job negating the 3 for Duke. Duke's only 1 for 4 from the three-point line. Last year, they prayed for their first 9.
Well, not exactly what Gary Williams had planned a behind-the-back pass and a turnover against Maryland.
You know, I don't like to harp on this the entire game, but Profit's got 2 points, 1 for 4 right now. He's had 23 a game in his last 3 games, but that was against South Carolina State, North Texas. He's got to really step up in a big-time game. He's too talented a player. Confidence. He's got to believe he can make the big play in these big games. He's got a lot of experience. He's played in a lot of big games.
Brand with the turnaround. Unlucky on the shot. Battier on the follow. And he's going to go to the line. I think Baxter is a man who hammered it.
One thing is you want to keep Duke off that free throw line, Ron. They are brilliant. They went to the free throw line in that Kentucky game about 30 times, I believe it was, and they come up usually big on the inside. And watch the offensive rebound by Battier, spreads his body, and then he tries to seal off the defense with a little jump hook, forces the contact.
Battier, a 72% free throw shooter.
They shoot 75% as a team.
Great hand for Baxter and well-deserved. Lonnie came in and made some things happen as Akizi comes back off the bench.
Gary reminded me, he said, by the way, when I was 8 for 8, it was against South Carolina when they were in the ACC. He said, Baxter went 10 for 10 against North Texas. He said, I should have fired my assistant when he got the 7 for 7. He should have told me so I could have stayed in the record books here at Maryland.
Dixon, yep, he's off. Langdon has it taken away by Akizi, and he'll take it up strong and score.
Bill Walton did an amazing job, according to Akizi, working with Bill, a great teacher of post play inside. Worked with him and loved his attitude.
I'm starting to say, he is a great student. He already got a degree in business. Now he's getting a degree in mechanical engineering. Brand.
Nice play inside. The two super Souths working together. Avery to Brand. They go inside to Obino Akizi. Has excellent footwork. Has really worked on his footwork and his agility that created that opportunity. And there's Avery with the inside pass to Brand. Brand so strong, not only physically, but with his hands. That's what makes him so special.
Second foul on Battier, 5 team fouls on Duke. And Dixon is off again, but bad. Let's see, Langdon can't save it.
We are looking at two of the really blue chip teams in America. And the electricity, enthusiasm, it's so easy to get excited in watching contests like this. Seeing quality programs, hooking up.
Dixon is 0 of 3 from three-point land.
Cincinnati must have played a brilliant game. I did not see the entire game up in Alaska, but for them to beat this Duke team, they had to be sensational.
Morris, nice quick look, Profit, and it is blocked by Brand, to follow by Morris.
Profit hesitated, rather than catching go right up and use his great jumping ability.
Look at the other end. Carrawell takes it strong to the hoop, and I believe Morris, let's see, any one of 3 could have been called for the foul.
The Meek will not survive here in this contest. As we watch the defensive play inside, look at him attacking the basketball. Duke does an excellent job blocking shots, but Morris stays with it and converts. Terrence Morris is one of those young players that was patient. Didn't come in and become an instant star right out of high school, but he waited, and he has become special, just like a kid from Chenoweth at Kansas and Gregory, Brendan Haywood at North Carolina. A lot of kids, they need a little time. They can't automatically go to the head of the class right out of high school.
So Juan Dixon will go to the bench and get a breather. Maybe return with his shooting eye because they're certainly going to need it. He strokes it 43% from three-point range, but he came up cold in his playing stint early there.
Well, they trade offense for defense when they bring him in. Branson, can't teach that, my friends. Can't teach that. But that's a no-no in Duke basketball. That's unacceptable in Duke basketball, to allow someone to make the turn and get the baseline. Watch this right here. Nobody rotates over to take the baseline away, and that's a no-no. Can't teach that. Hanging and gliding and sliding. That is big time, my friends. He's looking for people to hug. He said, come on, give me a standing O, baby.
McGetty was charged with the foul. And the long carom, it comes right back to Maryland. Profit with the foul.
Excellent play by LaRon Profit. Gets up on the glass. Good offensive rebound.
Francis now has 10 points and 4 assists.
Maryland, an excellent offensive rebounding team with their explosiveness. The bounce they have in their legs. Kids like Morris and Profit and Francis.
About to go under 4 minutes left in this first half. And the Terrapins back to within 1. And Carrawell against the carom and the follow. Duke can't get that from McGetty.
Maryland's done a superb job keeping Langdon away from getting looks at the basket. That's what Cincinnati did. Cincinnati only allowed Langdon 7 shots and ran 8 in that win. Kesey wants the ball inside.
It's going to be Elton Brand.
You can blow the whistle almost every possession if you want on a contact that's taking place in that low post.
And quite frankly, to all 3 of these officials, they have been very, very lenient. They've let them play.
They'll let him play inside. Well, right there, he's mugging him. You can't let that happen. Kenny Valentine says, you got to get those paws off his back, Elton. Francis goes to the sideline trying to protect him. They don't want him to get that third.
Well, for anybody who has not seen them play this year and you want to know the difference between this Maryland team and last year's Maryland team, the number 23 who just went to the bench for a moment is the catalyst. He makes it happen.
He's one of those special impact players who comes in and is such a major factor. Hey, by the way, Auburn's got a kid like that at Chris Porter, and they're 13 and zip. They shut the critics down yesterday, beating a good Tennessee team 90-62. First Maryland lead. Oh, they're going wild, Ron. They're going wild.
Leads for the first time in the basketball game, 33-32. Don't forget now in the newsstands, ESPN Magazine. Inside, there is a story in this issue of Steve Francis, the wonder kid here.
Oh, what's that?
And the diaper
kid. What was that? Diaper dandy. Where did they get that photo? Torrey Kirkpatrick did an in-depth story on Francis. Tony Kornheiser's in the house, and he normally doesn't come out to these games. Writes for ESPN Magazine, has the national radio show, and is a writer out here at the Washington Post. Outstanding journalist. This is big that he's here.
Avery for 3.
Too deep.
Not there.
Too deep.
Miller's going to be called for the foul as Carrawell was trying to come away with the basketball, and he fouled him. Len, let's check with you for a quick update.
Well, I just listened into the huddle with Gary Williams, and he's telling the Terps they are the best team. It's just a question of every loose ball, every offensive rebound. They've got to continue to play with the effort to prove that they're the best team. Ron?
Okay, for Duke, Lynn, 2 of their last 11 field goals. Kesey with the rebound here.
Langdon's 1 for 3 thus far. He's only had 3 opportunities.
Dixon. Yeah, that was Battier who blocked it. Let's see if they call the foul on him, and they do. That's 3.
That's big right there because he's so valuable defensively along that baseline. He can play several players.
So that means immediately Chris Burgess, the big sophomore from Irvine, California, will come off the bench.
I tell you, Dixon's got a lot of shake and bake to his game. He's an explosive kind of player, really takes the ball to the goal with authority. He also combines it with excellent range as a shooter, has tremendous range. You talked about it earlier, his three-point shooting ability.
43%.
Shane Battier's a winner. Came out of Detroit Country Day, same high school that produced Chris Webber. They talk about the famous dunk by Francis over Webber in the Summer League. Caught everyone's attention. Dixon playing Langdon now, trying to run him for some screens. He's learned to move well without the ball, Trajan. Has the wide open 3 if they kick it out. Too slow getting it to him. Bad shot.
Well, did Morris foul him 3-point range, or was he just inside the line?
He was inside the line, and the one thing is you don't want to put him on a foul line. How good is he? Think about all the great players. Here he is moving out the ball. See, now look at Dixon turns his head. He's wide open. He doesn't see Langdon. They should have got him the ball quicker. But he does draw the contact. How good is he on the line? He is right now the leader in the history of the ACC in shooting free throws, 88%. The previous all-time best is Charlie Davis at 87% for a career.
And he just missed. He's 93% on the season.
And he missed a free throw. Did we jinx the kid or what? He's usually automatic on that line.
Francis is back in. Dixon goes to the bench. Miller goes back to the bench.
I guarantee you he won't miss 2 in a row, though, Ron. He won't miss 2 in a row. No way in the world. No way. So you put it in the book right now, Ron. Put it in the book.
Nothing but cord.
The Alaskan assassin.
Oh, boy. Well, he's got 1 point in the last 14-23, Dick.
That's big. Maryland's defensive game plan. Keep shots away from him.
Burgess charged with the foul. Kesey going right to work on him, taking that quickly.
Watching the progress of Kesey from the first time I seen him play is absolutely amazing in terms of his improvement, especially his agility inside and the utilization of his footwork down in the post. Smart move going to a camp like a Bill Walton's to learn. Pete Newell does a phenomenal job with his summer camp where he works with big people.
You know, this is the type of kid that really, as I mentioned, he does have a thirst for knowledge, whether it's in the classroom or with his sport, because he has improved considerably. His free throw shooting is up 6% over that of last year. Still not a great free throw shooter, but a lot better.
In today's day and age where so many spoiled athletes and really the greed factor prevails, it's so beautiful to see a young guy, as you said, combine the academics and the athletics, but he wasn't spoiled by the system. He wasn't a high school All-American. He was a kid who came here. Zidle was Mr. Olajuwon.
That's right, the dream.
Got a chance to meet him, too. He always wanted to meet him, and he had that opportunity.
He bricks the second one, but he gets 1 of 2. 35-33. Just under 3 minutes to play until halftime in what has been a very rapid first half here at Cole Fieldhouse. Both teams have settled down now, and they're into a good pattern, both ends of the floor, and a block by Kesey.
Tough to take the ball to the inside.
Prophet is off again.
Right now, they got to try to get Langdon to run Dixon into a screen. He keeps turning his head, losing sight of the ball. It's mandatory to see ball and man. And I believe if they're patient, they can get Langdon free for a shot.
Brand, nice look to Burgess and a block by Kesey.
Kesey really dominating in the lane on the defensive end. Becoming a real force on the interior.
Baxter with that big body on the screen and give and go, and it has it partially blocked by Burgess.
Maryland, one of the few clubs that can match Duke with that size inside to negate the strength of a Brand and a Burgess.
8 turnovers against the Blue Devils. ESPN News coming up at halftime. George Seifert has a new job and also information on Wild Card Sunday. That and more on ESPN News coming up at halftime.
Life coach in the NFL. Wow, you talk about a wacky life. Everything is, what have you done for me today?
Stokes.
Langdon's offense could be affected by the fact of also guarding somebody like Francis Ron.
Well, you're right. Crowd wanted a foul on Brand as Carroll at the other end shows his athleticism. Profit, by the way, on that missed shot a while ago. Now 2 of 7. To back up your point, he's still tough game for him.
They're really struggling offensively. Both these clubs are excellent in taking the ball and converting from the defensive to the offensive end, as we just witnessed with Duke.
Francis on the turnaround.
Took a bad shot right there, forced the action a little bit. He and Langdon wearing each other out on the defensive end as now Francis playing Langdon. I would try to get a third on Francis. I'd go after him.
Avery
Love him, Ron. Love William Avery. He's going to become such a special guard. Understands he's a combination guard. He's not just labeled as a point guard. He can play either guard slot.
Avery now with 6 points. The sophomore out of Augusta, Georgia, averaging 14.9 points a ball game. Clock is under 6, and Stokes unlucky. The 1-on-2, and they got it just before the horn sounded.
1-on-tip. Nobody locked down. Baxter with the tip on the inside. Look at the big fella. He's making like a runaway ball running to the locker room.
And when we came to Cole Fieldhouse, nobody had any idea that Lonnie Baxter would have this kind of impact on the game.
The big, strong presence of Lonnie Baxter. Stokes, they forced Stokes to take an off-balance shot. It almost goes down. And there's the nice tip by Baxter, the conversion. And we're tied at halftime, Mr. Franklin.
Last year, it was a 20-point Duke lead. Not this year. Tied at 37. ESPN News is next.
Hey! Psst. Eat the Whopper.
That's 4.
Number 4. And speaking of exciting basketball action, how about this doubleheader on Tuesday? Tune in to ESPN for another great college basketball doubleheader. Beginning at 7:30 Eastern, number 10, Indiana, will take on Michigan. Then Indiana looks to avenge last year's 48-point blowout by the Wolverines, followed by number 6, Kentucky, and South Carolina. We'll try to break a 3-game losing streak. Tied at 37, and let's take a break. We'll be back with more from Cole Fieldhouse after this. Jam-packed Cole Fieldhouse, tied at 37. And just moments ago, Gary Williams and Lynn Elmore had a visit just outside the Maryland locker room. Lynn?
Gary, at 8:45 left in the half, Lonnie Baxter gave you guys a big defensive lift and gave you some momentum.
Well, he just went in and played. We've been trying to get our inside guys to just go compete because Duke does a great job defensively and on the boards inside. That's what Lonnie gave us.
In the last timeout before the half, you talked about effort with your guys.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that we're not competing better. I mean, we got it back to a tie game, and I thought we really lifted the effort, but we got to do it for 20 minutes.
Any adjustments we need to look to?
Well, we got to stop the little penetration they're getting and then that kick-out pass for the easy jump shot. I think they're hurting us with that, and our execution on the offensive end wasn't very good that half, early especially.
Finally, how do you get LaRon Prophet started?
Well, I think LaRon's a senior. He's been in a lot of these games. He has to understand his time, this last 20 minutes, and if he can turn it on these 20 minutes, we'll be in good shape.
All right, thanks a lot. Back to you, Ron.
Dick Vitale, I have to say, the tied at 37 at halftime, that the momentum has to be with Maryland because of the crowd. But 22-11 Duke, and it looked as though you're going to have the same scenarios last year. A tribute to Maryland that they had the poise and confidence to come back.
Also, the great job they did defensively. I thought their defensive effort was superb, especially on the perimeter. Take a look at the numbers. They don't lie. Duke is shooting 1 for 5 from the trifecta. Last year, they destroyed Maryland twice in games from the perimeter. That 1 for 5 is really big, and Gary's got to be really excited about the fact that his club extended defensively on the perimeter and kept Duke away from really attacking, getting open shots for Langdon. Langdon's been under control big time here in the first half.
Lonnie Baxter, who got the tip just as the clock was going out at the end of the first half, has hit 13 of his last 15 shots, we're told by the Maryland Sports Information Department. And this crowd loves the big guy. He did come in. Lynn made a great point. He gave him a big spark.
His body is a big, wide body, and you need an extra physical presence inside against the likes of people like Burgess and Battier and certainly Brand on the interior. As you look at the 2 PT peers right here, Francis with 10 points, Langdon with only 4. The big story here has been the fact that Langdon's only got 3 shots. I know when they lost to Cincinnati, Mike Krzyzewski was very upset that Langdon only got 7 looks at the basket. He said that's unacceptable at Duke. We can't allow our number 1 and number 2 options, Brand and Langdon, to only have a total of 15 shots between them. They have to find a way through screens to get Langdon some good open looks.
4 ties in the first half, 2 lead changes. Duke, as we said, led 22-11 after an 11-0 outburst, and Maryland led 35-33, the most that they have been in front.
This is a dogfight. This is the way it's supposed to be. The 2 quality teams going head-to-head, tied at the half.
Battier, but there's a whistle and a foul away from the ball, and that is going to be against Duke.
I believe it might have been Langdon. A little frustration. I believe it was on the leader, the captain.
Well, it's on. I think it's on Brand.
Oh, it's on Brand inside?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there's Brand inside trying to post up. Wow.
He did go after him. Easy. They get help, and the ball tipped away. Morris can't hold on to it. And in the interim, Battier comes down with the basketball for Duke.
Got a block outside on Akizi. Trying to take him a little isolation one-on-one. He puts the ball to the deck really well, Elton Brand.
That's only the first foul on Akizi. As we mentioned, one of the things that Gary Williams was worried about was foul trouble on him, and he picked up none in the first half.
Well, early in his career, he would make such silly fouls, just learning how to play. He is now knows what a foul situation is. Look at Battier becoming a little more assertive offensively. He's going to get open looks. Anytime you got a combination like a Langdon and Brand, you're going to get open looks.
Battier with 10 now. He's 4 of 5. They're going to call a blocking foul. I think that may be Battier. If it is,
that's 4.
That's 4. And look, we're at the 18:57 mark. Burgess is off the bench.
The one positive, you can go to your bench and bring quality people in. But Battier tries to step out and take the charge. Doesn't get the good established position. He leads them in charges taken. Last year, he took the most charges on the club.
Easy. Profit dishes it. Francis timed his jump nicely against the larger Brand and then missed it.
See, I don't think fatigue's going to play a factor in this game because both clubs go to their bench. They play 9 players basically.
The ball was tipped by Akizi.
P.T. Pierce love games like this. Oh, there's the extra pass. Got to do something with it, and he does. LaRon Profit. And they get a profit on the scoreboard.
Tied again.
Going to set some screens for Langdon. They step out on him.
Carrawell, nice look to Brand for the easy 2.
Two-man play on the inside. Brand slides to the open area. Carroll finds the open man.
Stokes looked up in a panic. There was nobody back there to take the basketball.
Help me.
The crowd was going berserk. Akizi, and that's going to be a foul on Burgess.
Getting the ball a little bit inside too easily right now. If I'm Duke, I got to be concerned the way they're bringing the ball inside, and that's 3 on Burgess. So you got 4 with Battier, 3 on Burgess. Poor job defensively by Burgess in terms of defensive positioning. Got to beat him to the basketball.
Let me ask you a question, Dick. How does Mike sit so totally composed on the bench in a ball game like this? He's got Batty on the bench with 4. Burgess just picks up his 3rd, and he's still cool, calm, and collected.
That's his personality, though. He keeps it within himself. You know, maybe it's at West Point training down there at the academy. Must be poised. Remember, Mike Krzyzewski was a cadet, played for Bob Knight. That's really a staff that I love for the fact that they have such pride in the Duke uniform. Quinn Snyder, Johnny Dawkins.
Morris tipped the ball back out.
David Henderson also on that staff. All 3 played vital roles in the success of Duke basketball.
Stokes called for travel.
Stokes came out of Simon Gratz High School. Coach Ellaby that school has produced people like Rasheed Wallace. McKee played at Temple.
For Duke, number 14, Nate James for Chris Burgess.
Over the smaller lineup right now. They're going with a little bit more quickness, bringing James in for Burgess. Morris has a size advantage on James on the offensive end. We can look for Morris and try to post him inside.
Morris is called for the foul. It looked as though the Duke had thrown one too many passes.
What's happening right now with both these teams, they're both doing an excellent job getting back defensively in transition, and they're not doing a good job executing in their half-court offense.
Third foul on Morris. Brand against Akese. These are two very big bodies, and Brand will knock it down.
I just love the way he establishes position on the interior. And then has that little flair, that little bounce to his game. Knows how to complete the play down in the post.
He's got a dozen.
Langdon now matched up with Profit. You get worn out defensively guarding these Maryland players. I think that affects you on the offensive end.
Great anticipation by Avery to come away with the steal. Takes it the distance, misses, and on the follow, the foul is going to be called on Francis.
Avery with a good change in direction, freedom to the basket. Brand now inside. Look at him sitting in the post. He says, give me the rock inside. Give me the rock. Can't handle me, Obina. Can't handle me there. Oh, those paws and that soft touch. And now here's Avery. Watch him change the direction. There's the little front change. Hello. Takes it to the goal. It's the contact. Avery and Langdon have really formed, I think, the premier backcourt in America. Another super backcourt. Go down to Ohio State. Michael Lee got 30 yesterday in the South against Wisconsin. And Scooty Penn has given Ohio State solid point guard play. They've won 12 games this year, the Buckeyes.
Francis with 3 fouls. And Lonnie Baxter checks into the lineup. Morris will go to the bench. Good hand for Morris, and also good hand for Baxter, who, as we talked at halftime, had an impact on that first 20 minutes.
Well, you go for strength versus quickness now. When you replace Morris, and you bring in Baxter. Remember this game, if it's real tight going to the last 4 minutes, think about Duke's ability to shoot free throws.
No question about it.
And Maryland's done a great job keeping them off that free throw line.
Good pass to Baxter inside, can't get it, and then he knocked it out of bounds.
Three-point arsenal so lethal in the Duke offensive efficiency. Helps them average 95 a game. And 1 for 5 from the 3. Oh, look at the contact right there. Look at the contact. You can call fouls all day long, baby, inside.
And that's Baxter.
That gives them 5 fouls inside. Another player they can rotate in. They feel next year his increased PT playing time is going to really help him. There's Langdon laying the screen, and he gets nailed to the deck. You got to be a brave guy going to lay a screen on that guy.
Well, what we've seen in just the last 15 seconds here, for people sitting at home, you want to know how physical this game is. And it's getting more so as we go on here in the second half.
Both these coaches really promote the idea of being competitive and don't back down. Here's Avery with a nice look. James with the offensive rebound. Nate James right here for Maryland.
8-0 run by Duke, 47-39.
And a quiet run, Ron, a very quiet run.
Chris Carroll is guilty of the foul.
Is he worn out after a game?
I'm telling you.
He can't make the all-GQ team. He's worn out. His clothes are all sweaty. He must ruin so many suits.
15:51 left in the ball game. 47-39 Duke. 9 Maryland, 47 Duke. 15:55 left in the ball game. And tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern, ABC Sports presents the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl from Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. T. Martin and Company trying to knock off the Florida State Seminoles. And tomorrow, ABC Sports at ESPN.com bring you the first ever enhanced TV during the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Don't miss it. I'm heading out there as soon as this game is over. Dick to do radio on that with Mike Gottfried and Adrian Karsten.
Say hello to all those guys. Mike does a great job, and you, I know, did a phenomenal job all year at ESPN on TV in football. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. What about a salute in football to the Big Ten? Purdue, Ohio State,
yes.
Penn State, Michigan, and Wisconsin. A salute. They got to get a certain star for that performance.
Well, did he get the charge? Yes, he did.
Really sloppy play offensively. Duke does a good job, though, getting the defensive play established to get the charge. They're getting their lead very methodically right now. It's not really boom, boom with a three, a half-court trap. Now, this is an area where Langdon can get some open looks. Oh, White right there. Nobody.
James, ooh, and he misses.
I think James thought you'd get a few more points with degree of difficulty rather than just lay that sucker in. Instead, he got Zippo out of that series.
So the crowd asking Maryland to come back with an answer.
Well, Duke is really quiet in this crowd. It was so alive early.
Blocked by James. He has had quite an impact in the last few minutes. Harrell at the other end.
And that's what they do exceptionally well. Convert from the defensive end to the offensive end. 22nd timeout by Gary Williams.
The Terrapins.
I'll tell you one thing about Trajan Langdon. He has really now become much more of a leader than early in his career.
So it's a 10-point margin, 49-39. Watch the block.
Well, here's the block shot by James. Super job by James. But look at the way they fill lanes. They really get out in transition. There's James rotating over. And now they're going to fill lanes. Looking for the open man, running a 45-degree angle cut. 10-zip in the last 3 minutes, Ron.
Now, this happened a couple of times in the first half, and Maryland came back and had an answer. But now we're getting to a point in the ball game where can't wait too long. Can't let it get out of reach.
A Francis or a Prophet have to step up big now. You need your big playmakers to come up big. Carroll matched up on Francis on the perimeter.
Come on, man, throw it to me.
Kesey fell on the inline, and now he had a charge a moment ago and then a turnover right there. This is a big trip here.
Ron, I've often said the easiest guy to guard is a guy that is stationary. Steve Francis has a tendency when the ball's not in his hands to play in a very stationary way. He has to become more active offensively without the ball. There's the trifecta that'll hurt you. That's Duke's arsenal, baby.
You know what interesting? That is the second turnover or bad play by Maryland out of a timeout. That drives a coach nuts, doesn't it?
Makes you lose your hair. Sends you to the sideline. Makes you become a TV announcer. Get fired. Get the Ziggy.
Well, this is the largest lead of the afternoon for Duke, 52-39.
Stevie's got to learn, and that'll come with game experience, how to be active without the ball. If you stand, you're so easy to defend. Carrawell really muscling up on him. I think a good adjustment making Carrawell the guy assigned to check Steve Francis.
James also again, I repeat, he knocked that one out of bounds. Has been very effective both ends of the floor this half.
Yeah, he's had so many injuries early in his career. Broken thumbs, wrist problems. A lot of people thought he would transfer and be unhappy with his playing time, but he loves Duke and has stayed and has become now an important contributor off the bench.
Shot clock is at 8, now at 7.
See, here's where he excels, with the ball in his hands.
You got it, Nate.
You hear the talk inside, I got it, you got it, and Prophet is fouled. And because Brand was battling with Nate James, they lost the handle.
Good effort by Prophet, though, really attacking the basket on the offensive glass. Steve Francis, like so many players who make the transition from junior college to the collegiate level, have to learn the art of playing without the basketball. Steve Francis, without question, is an All-American and a super player.
Langdon, the foul is on him. It's his second, 5th team foul on Duke.
I'll be down at Duke Wednesday night. Cameron, you talk about a place live. Have you ever done a game down at Cameron Indoor Stadium?
No.
You have to. I know you've touched every base practically in America with football and basketball. You have to once feel the electricity there, Ron. It is so unique and so special.
Been over there for practice a couple of times, but have never been there for a game.
Students are right on top of the floor. It's live here, too. Cole's a special place.
McGetty, in fact, the crazies have given him a, what is it? McGetty.
Yes, there is. If you let him get that look, if you trap and give him the good look, he'll nail it all night long. As Lionel Richie would say, all night long, baby.
2 of 3 for him from outside the arc, 55-41. Francis lost the handle, and he was fouled. And it looks as though McGetty is the man that Ted Valentine is going to call.
I think when you look at the game plan, as you're going to watch them reverse the ball, See, Langdon right now gets the ball reversed to him, and there it is, the open look. He's just a sweet shooter. He's got that velvet touch, Ron.
Langdon was charged with the foul, so he now has 3.
Mike's decided to leave him on the floor.
Steve Francis for 2.
The one area where Duke has excelled today is not allowing Maryland to get in transition. Against anyone that they can run up and down the floor, they'll just dominate. They have such an explosive transition game. Kentucky played a brilliant game. Probably played its best game all year against Maryland down at Rupp Arena. Put on an unbelievable performance offensively and defensively.
That's Dixon reaching in. 16 fouls now on Maryland. And on Dixon, his second.
Maryland won that tournament out of Puerto Rico where they put the hurt on UCLA. Also blew away Pittsburgh after Pittsburgh had beaten Kentucky.
6 on the team.
As that kick out.
Getty still 0 for the afternoon.
Gary was talking to Lenny Elmore about that at halftime. How they have to make the adjustment to stop the little penetration and that kick out that they like to utilize. No one in this building will outwork. Now, one Maryland player or fan will outwork Gary Williams on that sideline.
Nope.
Debbie Yauer rewarded him this year, the AD, with a 7-year extension. Maybe he'll loan you and I some money. Oh, nice pass inside. I had the look, made a good cut without the ball. Didn't deliver it on time.
Miller couldn't hang on.
Miller's a dangerous threat for the 3.
Look at Brand, and then he is battled and is fouled.
Brand from
Martisic.
Yeah, Martisic's been quiet. He had a great game here last year against North Carolina. Sparked him to an unbelievable W. Was brilliant off the bench. Maybe uncanny way of getting a shot off.
Well, they called it on Miller. You can see the reach in.
Elton Brand shoots 1 and 1.
So at the 12:51 mark, 1 and 1 for Duke. And it's what Dick Vitale said. You didn't want this to happen, particularly this early in the half.
Brand from out of New York, Peekskill, New York, played on the famed AAU team out there with Ron Artest, who's having a superb year for Mike Jarvis. Artest, to me, is the most unselfish superstar in college basketball. St. John's making a lot of noise early.
Yeah, we had a lane violation. Francis is saying I was pushed in by McGetty. But Ted Valentine says, I'm not buying that.
Yeah, you don't want to give away points right now either. You don't want to give away points. I don't know. He came in on his own, looked to me.
Brand misses it, and Duke gets the rebound in a new 35 seconds. 56-42. 3-on-1 break here.
This is where they excel in the open court.
Francis misses, and the block inside. McGetty got up and sent it back into row 304.
I'll tell you one thing, Ron. The defensive effort of Duke has been outstanding. There he hustled back on a defensive end. Look at Corey McGetty up there. He's got great legs from out of Fenwick High School.
Prophet, unthinkable. Missed the lob. He was there. He had gotten in behind him. And now, all of a sudden, this thing's beginning to get away from Maryland.
Now they're going to start trapping, and that becomes susceptible for open shots.
Brand lost it out of bounds.
Execution, execution, execution. So important in a half-court game. There's the lob. They try to throw it a diagonal. He's got to convert that.
Prophet is 3 of 11. And Dixon has just been whistled for a foul by Carl Hess. Dixon now with 3.
Starting to get a little frazzled on the inside, Ron, right now. Getting a little frustrated, Maryland. Don't want to put Duke on that line. They'll convert on that line. 75% as a team, one of the best in America. The 90 team they had shot 76% for the best ever in Duke history. That team went to the final game and got beat by UNLV in a blowout.
83% is what the man at the line is.
Then Duke came back the following year, remember, in 91, and they beat UNLV in an unbelievable game in the semifinals, and then went on to win the national title. They went back-to-back in 91 and 92.
Gets the second one to go. Dick, here's an incredible number. In the second half, Maryland only has one field goal. Everything else is from the free throw line. And they're 1 of 10.
That's been the game plan of Duke defensively. Give help to one another. Force them to play a half-court game. They really don't excel in a half-court game. They dominate in that offensive transition, but against good clubs, they're going to have to really perform a lot better in a 5-on-5 situation.
So there's a break in the action. 58-42 Duke with 12 minutes even left in our ball game. 58-42. Some of the Maryland fans a little frustrated right now.
Well, what's happened here, they came in so alive and they were so fired up early before the game. They got great fans down here in Maryland, but the bottom line is the team's got to help. You look here at the summary, and that tells the story. 1 for 10, 7 turnovers, not getting it done offensively.
The other thing, Dick, they don't have one steal in the second half. They only had 3 in the first half. They're averaging 14 and a half a ball game.
See, they can dominate perimeter players, but they can't dominate the guards at Duke.
McGetty, and that ball is blocked as Morris got up and got a big mid on it.
Or the Terrapins, number 12.
And Morris will score it. Second field goal of the second half for Maryland.
That's an example of them kicking the ball out, getting in transition. That they do well. They're getting an A+ now. Now they're going to go to traps. If you post up to the middle of the floor, you'll find open people against that trap. Spread the court. Mike Krzyzewski does an amazing job of putting his people in the right places on the floor.
On that play, you could see that Langdon, not wanting to pick up his 4th foul, he had to, rather than penetrate, he had to kind of stay flat-footed and put the shot up. Francis cuts through the middle, not there.
Shot selection so important in trying to hold on to this lead, take good shots. They posted this Brand inside. It was wide open. So many good things happen when the ball goes inside to the big fella. He just punished Kentucky down in a baseline. Now Francis trying to move here without the basketball. Not a bad curl move. And then just slams Snow off the glass, got a little bit out of control up in the air, but he did a good job there of getting free for a shot by coming off that curl.
Kesey just picked up his 3rd, so he was void of fouls in the first half, and all of a sudden it's jumping in on him. We have 10:48 to play.
You made a great point, Ron, a little bit earlier about the number of steals, because that really reflects the personality of Maryland's team defensively. When they're attacking, forcing steals, and Profit, one of the key catalysts in usually doing that, they dominate people. But against Duke, the way they spread the court, and the way they're coached, and do such an excellent job with good personnel, they don't get that many opportunities in terms of forcing a steal and a turnover.
Brand now with 15 points and 7 rebounds.
He just really gives you such a special presence inside. And when you can blend that with good perimeter plays as well with Avery and Langdon, who have a combined 74 threes coming into this game, you have a chance to win.
Well, he's also got 3 blocks, gets the outlet pass to James, and Kesey just picked up his 4th foul.
Yeah, quickly, all of a sudden. I get a kick sometimes. I get these TV critics sometimes. They get on my case. They say, you're always praising guys like Krzyzewski and these coaches as you watch them kick the ball out. Well, let me ask you this. You watch a game here, Ron, as you see the contact. How could you not praise? I guess maybe I'm guilty, sure. I sing the praises to coaches, but the bottom line is the games I usually do always feature the best coaches in America. I mean, fine, these guys go to the Hall of Fame. I'm going to the Hall of Shame. How can I not praise them?
James, a 79% free throw shooter, has that one in and out.
He has to feel good about his play so far today, especially coming here to Maryland where they recruited him so heavily. Maryland's got some blue chip recruits coming in next year. Raj Holden, a 6'9 player they're impressed with from out of New Jersey. Steve Blake, who I met here tonight, Oak Hill Academy, with his dad. He's not worried about next year, though. He's worried about this year.
Yeah, this is the biggest lead in the afternoon, Dick. It's a 17-point ball game.
And it's been done with defense, defense, and defense.
Are you right? Are you ever right? Akezi on the bench with 4, all in his hand. Quick turnaround by Morris, and he was fouled. And let's see, they're going to call it on Brand or James. They're going to call it on James.
I can already see some of the scribes banging their typewriters talking about the fact that 3 more key games, if Maryland continues to go on a losing side of this game, they've come up empty twice, talking about Kentucky and about Duke. But remember, these are some blue chip basketball teams. Maryland's went to the Sweet 16 3 of the last 5 years, and 5 years in a row. There are only 11 teams that have done this, and only 2 from the ACC been to the NCAA, and that includes North Carolina and Maryland, who've been there 5 consecutive years to the big dance. Last year lost to Arizona out in the West in the Sweet 16.
Got a good look at Battier on the bench, and to think that Duke is doing this without him. Brand.
He had the poise to bring the ball back down and try to regroup himself and get that explosiveness to the basket. James misses the layup. Tough layup. He's going to try to utilize his left hand. He anticipates the block. Rand tries to regroup and take it up, and here's the contact.
Foul number 15, Danny Miller, his third. Elton Brand.
Miller with the foul, his third. And now the double bonus for the rest of the way by Duke.
That is danger time. Even though they're not really shooting exceptionally well today on that line. Empty twice there, 74% shooter.
16 of 23 for Duke as a team this afternoon.
Still not bad.
About to go under 10 minutes left in our ball game. Miller with the dish. And too hard in the tip inside Morris.
Morris athletic on the interior. Offensive rebound. Got the turnover. Got the turnover. This crowd is just dying to get in the game. They'll say, just give us one spurt so we can explode and raise the roof.
Mike Krzyzewski up. And a grimace from him at his team. But come on now, don't let him have another spurt right here. 13-point Duke lead with 9.5 minutes to go.
He's becoming a commander-in-chief on that sideline. Poised, patient. He gets a lot of his work done in practice. That's where he really is so volatile in a very positive way, but he's really such a teacher on a practice situation.
18 turnovers against Maryland. 10 total for Duke, only 2 in this half.
Battier on the floor with 4 fouls, Ron.
He went out at the 18:57 mark. And Miller has gone down. He turned his ankle back. Hobbling to the other end. Let's see if they get a stoppage and play for him.
They're going to get profit in the game for him.
And they're going to call him for a travel. And I mean, Gary Williams is livid.
Such an intense competitor. He and Gene Cady are probably the most volatile, intense competitors who demonstrated all throughout the entire game.
Miller, meanwhile, hobbles to the bench. Profit comes in for him. But Danny turns his ankle. I think he stepped on a teammate's foot at the defensive end of the floor. And he had trouble getting up out of the lane.
Yeah, he couldn't get up and down the floor in transition. See how they spread the court, making it very difficult for you to trap him.
Brand.
Elton Brand open on the interior. As soon as you spread the court, you see some traps, you're going to get a lot of isolations or open people.
Brand has 17 points, and he has a block. And on the return, Baxter scores it.
Good effort by Baxter to go after it the second time after Brand got a piece of the rock. You got to read those screens against Duke. You got to communicate on the defensive end.
Battier left alone.
Coaching so important in a situation. Duke really excelling a little bit more than Maryland in the half-court game. And there's Brand with the dunk on the interior. If he gets shots, it's over. If you give this kid any kind of look at the goal, that's why he's going to make somebody's NBA roster. Doesn't have super athletic ability or superb quickness, but there is no substitute for a guy that can shoot the rock the way he can.
Nice hustle to the hoop. Count it, and a three-point play in the making here.
Nice clear out for Stokes. Little isolation. Nice clear out by Gary's glove. He works diligently on patterns in a half-court game, but the bottom line is his team many a time doesn't have to utilize it because they blow people away. You take a look at their last 3 wins, blowing the South Carolina States and the North Texas and the Princeton.
Terrapin foul on number 12, Terrell Stokes.
Oh, they pull it on Stokes. That's why Gary's living, Ron. He thought he had a three-point attempt down there.
Well, see, I was looking because Battier's the man who's taking the charge. Either that or it's 5 on him.
Battier really does a phenomenal job in taking charges. One of the best in America. Led Duke in taking charges last year.
So they count the hoop, but they call it on Stokes, as Dick said.
Well, a lot of people say in college basketball, that's that old makeup call. We give you the deuce on the other end, we're going to shoot it on the other side. After you release the ball, they said it was contact.
7:59 left to play. 66-52 Duke. Duke with a 14-point margin. Don't forget tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern, ABC Sports presents the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl from Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Tennessee taking on number 2 Florida State. And tomorrow, ABC Sports at ESPN.com bring you the first ever enhanced TV during the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Don't miss it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson right here. Mr. Francis has 1 point and 0 assists in the last 16:30.
Well, he's got 11 points on the afternoon. But as we were talking during the timeout, your star players got to step up big in games like this.
Well, star players got to be special playmakers. They got to make the big plays. LeBron Prophet's 3 for 11, and Francis 1 point in the last 16 is not going to get it done against a quality team like Duke. You have to take your game to the next level. I really believe that with Francis, it's just a matter of game experience, understanding the flow of the game.
Brand muscles away with the rebound for Duke.
Execution. Watch Duke execute by good spacing. They start in a 1-2-2 set, a little stack.
Langdon on the move.
Are you serious? Are you serious the way he knocked down that 3? I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, what a way of shooting the rock. Wow.
3 of 4 from three-point range for him. Brand, by the way, is 1 rebound away from having double-double today.
Simple curl move. Oh.
Carwell.
Methodically, everybody contributed. Everybody stepping up. Carwell in his own little way on the defensive end. Avery handling the basketball. Langdon making open shots. Brand in the post presence and Battier defensively.
Carwell has 6 rebounds. He averages 2.7. That shot's going to be short. Hit last by Morris, though.
Watch Langdon with that little curl move. Look at this. Doesn't waste time. Catches it, squares his body. Look at the great release, the follow through, the rotation, the backspin. The Alaskan Assassin. NBA nothing but nylon.
17-point Duke lead. 6 minutes, 50 seconds left to play.
You're making a believer out of you, Ron?
Oh, there. The thing about it is, Maryland is outstanding basketball.
Exactly. Maryland, without question, to me, is one of the top 5 in the nation. This is where he's at his best. High stepping, sliding, and gliding. There it is.
Morris with the cut.
There's the transition game again, Ron. If they're allowed to do that, they'll blow you away. But unfortunately, Duke says, we're not going to allow you to do that. You got to play us in a 40-foot game as well.
Carrawell. Look at Carrawell. That's 7 rebounds for him. And that was knocked out of bounds by Baxter.
Carrawell's a warrior. He's just a warrior. Just comes to play, a Rambo man. Coach K said he really feels special about this team. They're very coachable, kids that really want to learn.
Kesey back in the game playing with 4 fouls. And Langdon, well, they left him alone and he missed that one.
Stepped a little bit out of his range right there in that little curl move. Apart, excellent spacing. 2-3 set now, foul line extended, trying to take some time off the clock. Manage the clock, so essential down the stretch of the game.
Shot clock is now at 10. And Francis gets the steal.
Francis right there made the great defensive play and created the turnover, and it should be his ball. But they're saying it's going to alternate possession.
20-second timeout is called, and Gary is all the way out to the middle of the court.
They're demonstrating a lot of patience by not calling the tee with him getting out of the coach's box. But I give the refs credit there. They know it's a very emotional game. And he's not trying to berate anyone. He's just basically trying to share his little opinion about why it should be Maryland basketball. I mean, he's not inviting them to dinner right there. He said, come on, Ted, there's some great places I can take you out to dinner down here.
Crab cakes.
Little crab cake time. Gary's not going to be in the mood to eat some crab cakes tonight.
Had a visit with Billy Hahn this morning, his longtime assistant who's been with him for 10 years. He is as good as there is around at breaking down video, and we talked about what they had to do today. And he made the same point that Gary did. He said Duke has been in this kind of game so many more times than our kids, and we're not a young basketball team. But the fact that Mike and the Blue Devils have been there, it's such a big deal.
Well, we talked about that earlier in the telecast, how the Edge would have to go to Duke and their players playing in so many big games versus kids like, when you take, for example, Morris's and certainly Steve Francis, just making a transition out of junior college. There's a special feel that goes into playing these kind of games that got hit in the face. Accidental, going for the basketball. Looks like it caught him in the eye. Look at Francis really trying to get his team pumped up. Has a finger right to the eyes. He goes for the basketball. Chris Carrawell, one of those unsung heroes you don't read about. There'll be no story about him tomorrow.
You're right.
But in the box score, the one guy that he's a hero for is a guy called Coach K.
You hate to use the term because it's so overworked, but the only term to use is blue collar. I mean,
exactly.
That's, quiet but extremely efficient. And it's unofficial, but the last time I think we had him for like 7 rebounds besides what he has done offensively.
And also defensively when they rotated him on to play Francis. Ron Prophet again has to really live with that enigma of not coming up with the big performance in the mega game. And he's such a talented player. I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself in these big games and doesn't tend to relax and just come out and play. He's got ability.
Len Elmore, let's check with you. What do you got for us?
Well, you take a sampling of the crowd here, and they seem to rise and fall with the success or the failure of Steve Francis. In the last couple of minutes, he's been able to get more involved, getting other people involved in the offense, and still not taking all of it on his shoulders. But as soon as he gets his hands on the ball, you can feel that buzz of anticipation that he's going to do something great. Unfortunately, thus far for these fans, it hasn't been enough. Back to you, Ron.
Okay, Lynn, you know, it's not to beat up the point, but also the fact that you do have to learn the intensity and the level that you have to play in a game like this, be it at home or be it on the road. And he is learning baptism under fire.
He will be such a much more complete player at the end of the year than he is now. Go through the ACC, competition away from home. Little jump stop. See, that's one area of his game he never had in the past. He's added the ability to get to the basket.
Taken away. Langdon goes on the floor for it, and it's going to be Duke basketball.
Regardless of the score here today, and I said it earlier in the radio show that I did today with Gary Williams, I really firmly believe that these are 2 of the 5 best teams in America, no matter what happens here. I think when you put Maryland against most of the clubs in the nation, they are certainly going to have a great shot to get to the winner's circle.
Morris gets the turnover. You can see the note there. NASCAR coming up next. You'll see it from the beginning of the race. And they get the turnover from Maryland, and James is fouled by Stokes.
James really does a good job sneaking out in transition. I think some other clubs you got to watch. I think they're going to get better and better. As Mateen Cleaves becomes a little better at the point guard slot, Michigan State, a very dangerous team, very athletic, had a good win yesterday over Louisville. Also Stanford, to me, because they'll force you to play half-court basketball, is going to be a team to reckon with in the postseason. And UCLA starting to get a healthy Baron Davis and had a nice win yesterday over Arizona. I envy you. I want to come with you. Can I be your stag guy down there at the Fiesta Bowl? I want to come down there and watch that matchup.
Great football game. And I think,
who do you like in that game, Ron?
I never pick a game and one that I'm doing, but I'll tell you this. I think they are so closely matched that it'll come down to special teams. And I think in the kicking game, Florida State definitely has an edge.
Florida State, the Seminoles, to me, are going to be tough to beat with that defense.
Plus the fact Francis off the mark with a three-pointer. When you look at Bobby Bowden's record, when he has more than 2 weeks to prepare for a football game, it's absolutely incredible. There's only 1 loss.
It's unfortunately they lost his quarterback earlier this year. The kid Martin's done a phenomenal job for Tennessee, though.
Everybody's been waiting for T. Martin to fold, and it just hasn't happened. He is outstanding.
And people are waiting for Duke to fold here, and it's not going to happen. They just keep executing, moving well without the ball. The players just understand their roles. Everybody knows their role on the floor.
Avery kisses it off the glass just before the shot clock comes off.
Now, is that managing the clock? Is that what we call about management of time? Poor Bobby Cremins has got to bring his rambling wreck at Georgia Tech Wednesday night into that Duke Cameron Indoor Stadium. We'll be down there, and that place will be rocking, seeing their Dukies come home.
20-point lead. We'll go away for a minute. Right back. Back to Cole Fieldhouse. 20-point Duke lead with 3:36 left in the ballgame. The NASCAR Winter Heat coming up next. And don't be discouraged that you're going to miss something, because they're holding up the race. We're going to see it flag to flag in Tucson, Arizona, immediately following our game.
I'll tell you, Ron, an impressive performance defensively by Duke. To be plus 20 on this team with the talent that Maryland has, I know has to be frustration galore out of Gary Williams, who's he and his staff worked so hard in preparing for this game. Taking time off the clock. He likes to run that 2-3 high. Try to get some backdoor cuts out of it, some dribble penetration. There's the layup. Great execution.
And right, it took 29 seconds off the clock.
Right into the lane, take time off the clock, as you just said, and then get the high percentage shot.
Akese. And the tip wouldn't go as well. Nick, would you rank this Duke team number one?
Absolutely. I think Connecticut, my magazine, I call pre-conference the number one, preseason the number one team in America. But looking at the quality teams that Duke has been able to beat, beating the likes of Kentucky on a neutral floor, coming on a road and blowing Maryland away here in the second half. Not to take anything away from Connecticut. They're superb. They're certainly one of America's premier clubs. But I would simply say that this is the best team in the United States, despite their loss to Cincinnati earlier this year.
This is a 39-15 run.
Everything goes at the current moment. And Connecticut had a very impressive blowout yesterday over Georgetown. But I just absolutely think, to me, this team is so special when I look into it.
Morris jams it home, and a timeout is called by Maryland with 1:53 showing on the clock.
I would love to see Cincinnati in person, Ron. I have not seen them. And obviously, they're a very good basketball team. Just the fact that they can beat Duke. And I'll tell you what impressed me the most with them, that they had a 19-point lead, and with a 19-point lead, Duke caught them with 15 minutes to go, yet they were able to win the game.
We'll take another break. Right back.
Get ready to...
Duke 78-56. NASCAR Winter Heat coming up next. We'll see the race in its entirety from Tucson, Arizona. That was the final timeout for Maryland. Zakese cuts across the lane, knocks down an 8-footer.
It's got a nice little jump shot from the interior.
And a timeout is called by Duke, and it's going to be a 20. Gives us an opportunity also to mention that I thought he was credited with it just a moment ago, but Elton Brand, double-double for him today. 10 rebounds. He's got 19 points. Again, it's that thing of consistency. Reminding you, NASCAR Winter Heat is next.
Well, I think, Ron, what happens when he's able to really dominate inside, and he's going to dominate against most people, it just spreads the court, spreads the wealth for everyone else on the floor.
You know, the interesting thing about Brand, when you look at him, he is 6'8", 240. But I think he plays bigger than that just because he is so doggone strong. But yet he has wonderful touch.
He's got long, long arms. He's got that attitude that's really a kid. Also epitomizes what the NCAA manual says, student athlete. Brilliant student over at Peekskill, New York, before he came to Duke. Walking violation. See, the one thing, it's very difficult for Gary Williams to emulate this kind of intensity and emotion in trying to work on your execution of your half-court game. I mean, he does it every day in practice, but in practice it's not the same as an environment like a Kentucky game and a Duke game. And his players have to really understand and learn the importance of half-court execution because they dominate so many people with their pressure and their transition ability.
And you know, Dick, we need to say for people who joined us late in the second half, this game was tied at 37 apiece at halftime. And now you look up at the scoreboard, it is 78-60.
And it was that methodical job by Duke. It wasn't explosiveness, very methodical early in the second half and coming out defensively, establishing really superiority on the defensive end. Kentucky, speaking about them, had a blowout yesterday over a good young Florida team that I really feel is going to get better and better, especially next year. I think the Gators will be special. Look at this guy. Looks like he's been in a fight. Hey,
what, that thing really has swollen up in a short period of time. That's Chris Carrawell. If you just joined us, it was unintentional, but got scratched in the eye about 5 playing minutes ago. He may have some vision problems there for a bit until that swelling goes down. Francis is called for the foul.
Well, you talk about medical help, though. You don't get too many finer than what they have at the Duke Medical Center. You know, it's really a great gesture. Talk a little bit about these coaches, too. Mike Krzyzewski's so involved on a board of directors with the Jimmy V Foundation. Gary Williams tells me before the game that he's going to have a little outing to raise thousands of dollars for Jimmy V. People don't understand some of the charity work these people do. And all I can simply say is I know these two guys were great friends with Jimmy V. I got his tie on today, a V collection tie, a Brett Favre special. I didn't even wear my own. I wore a Brett Favre one today. You can buy those at all the retail shops out there. And all the money goes to the V Foundation for Cancer Research.
Well, Baxter, after the pass is knocked away, reaches down on the floor, takes it back up.
See, here's where they dominate people usually. Go to the full court traps, force turnovers and steals. but you're not going to do it against quality clubs like Duke or Connecticut or teams like Kentucky. So that's why you have to really work on that half-court game. That's got to become a vital part of your offensive ammunition.
That's going to be a foul on Baxter.
And today, really, Francis and Laurent Prophet did not give them a super performance. And there's no way, and we talked about it earlier on the show, that you're going to beat somebody like Duke unless their big people step up and make a positive statement.
Prophet with 8 points. Francis with 11 points.
Duke has really dominated the last 3 meetings. We think of last year, beating them by 32 over here on this floor, and then beating them by 27 at Duke, and coming here into Maryland today with a little surprise with a 20-point lead.
Francis only 1 second-half point.
Wow.
Under a minute, 40, now 39. The Duke Blue Devils are about to pick up their 13th win. Maryland already is at 13, and they'll go to 13-2. And I have to agree with Dick Vitale. I'm still not going to be surprised if when I fly into St. Pete at the end of March that this Maryland team might be there as well.
There's one positive for Maryland here is certainly the first half. He's got a charge by James, and also the performance of Baxter. Baxter's given him some positive minutes. Cincinnati's got to find a way to get a little bit more offense. Peter Michael, their fine players, never lost a game. He's got 72-0 in college, junior college, and right now undefeated at Cincinnati. Win, win, win. And he was a muscle man against Duke.
Francis off the mark. A couple of unsungs for Duke this afternoon. Carrawell, who's on the bench with that injury to his eye.
Battier.
James Battier.
The guys you read about are Brandon, Langdon, and Avery, but those guys you mentioned are such solid contributors, Ron Franklin.
So this one is history. And the final score, the Duke Blue Devils 82 and Maryland 64. Coming up next, NASCAR Winter Heat from Tucson, Arizona. And as Nick mentioned, some unsung heroes today, but Langdon, Battier, Carrawell, Eldon Brand, a double-double. What an outstanding effort by Duke as they knock off the number 4 team in the nation. 82-64 the final. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Dick Vitale, Ron Franklin saying so long, everybody, from Maryland.